Hey everyone, James here with Rokoko, and I'm back with another tutorial. This time I want to show you guys how to use your face capture data on your characters in Cinema4D. So let's go ahead and get started. So as you see here, we already have our recording of our face data, and so we just need to go ahead and export this out so we can use it in Cinema4D. So in order to export this out, we want to go down to Exporter, click on that, and it'll open the export options box. And you just want to make sure that your export face data is checked and that your format is set to FBX because face capture data does not export out as a BVH or CSV. So as long as those two are set, you can leave everything else the same and then click export. So now that it's exported, we're going to go ahead and jump over to Cinema4D and apply this to our character. Alright, so here we are in Cinema4D, and as you see, we already have our character imported. The next step that we need to do is just import our face capture data. So you want to do that by going to File, Merge, and then locate the file, which is right here. Go ahead, click Open, and it'll open this import settings options for the FBX. You just want to make sure that under animation, tracks is checked, otherwise the animation won't be imported. So once that's done, you can click OK. And then now if you see down below, the head will go ahead and be imported in. You can drag this up just a bit. And you'll notice now, if we go ahead and expand out our timeline and click on the play button, the animation we exported out is playing. And so now what we want to do is essentially copy over the keyframe data of these blend shapes over to our character. So in order to get started with that process, you have to first, we're going to open up our pose morph tag. This is our standard mesh, and so this is our character. And if you need to look at the face character, you can find it right here, and this is where our blend shape data is. And so essentially what we want to do is click on our pose morph expression tag for our character, and then we want to open up our attributes panel, which is down here. And then if we go over to, click this again, you'll notice down here in our attributes panel, we have all of our blend shapes for our character. And so what we need to do first is add a keyframe on each of these in order to be able to paste keyframe data onto these blend shapes. So in order to do that, let's go ahead and first reset our sliders so that everything's set to 0. And then let's go ahead and make sure that on our timeline we're set down to frame 0. And then once that's done, you just want to click on record sliders, and you notice all of this turns red, and now we have a keyframe at frame 0. And so that's going to be, this is now going to allow us to open up our dope sheet, and then we can see the keyframe data for both the character and the face data. So let's go ahead and open up our dope sheet. You want to do that by clicking Window, go down to Timeline, and then you'll see Dope Sheet. So we'll click that. And now you'll notice there's two different pose morphs. These are for both of our face data and our character data. And so in order to know which one is which, what we're going to do is just rename it. So we know that this one is our face data because this contains all of the keyframe data that we imported, and then this one just has that keyframe on frame 0. So we're going to rename this just by double clicking it, and we're going to change this to character, and then we're going to do the same thing for the other one and name this face data. Alright, and so now what you want to do is essentially, if you look down, you'll see all of the blend shape names, and we can go ahead and full screen this. All of the blend shape names for the face data is in alphabetical order. However, if you look over to the one for our character, it's not in alphabetical order. So this just is because of our character and the way that the blend shape data was created. However, sometimes, if you import your own character, this might show up alphabetically for you. And if that's the case, then you'll be able to just simply copy all of this by highlighting everything. And you can highlight this all and then Control C or Command C, and then open up your character blend shapes down here, and then highlight all of this, and then simply paste everything, and all of the data should be pasted correctly. But because that our character is not like the blend shapes are not in identical order as our face capture data. What we're going to have to now do is essentially copy over the data one by one. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our first blend shape here, which is eye look down left, and we're going to find that up here for our face capture data. So luckily it's in alphabetical order, so it's easy to find. So I look down left, and we're going to copy this, and then go back down, and then we're going to paste it here. And so we're pasting all of the keyframe data. We're going to do the same thing for this. I look down right, find it up here, it's right here, copy, and then we're going to paste that here. So we're going to essentially do this for all of our blend shapes, and then once all of this is done, you should be able to see the face on your character start to move to the motion data. So let's go ahead and add all of this right now. All right, now that we've gone ahead and added our keyframe data over from our face data to our character, it should now work. You'll notice that we do have a couple of blend shapes that don't have any data to them, and that's because our character had extra blend shapes that weren't included in our face capture, and that's fine. It's not going to affect anything. One thing to note as well, our face capture data uses the ARKit blend shape naming convention, so it's best that your character uses the same method so that this works just as well. Otherwise, you might run into some trouble if your character is using maybe a different type of face rig or a different type of method. So just keep that in mind. So now if we go ahead and minimize this and go ahead and hit play, you'll notice now our character is moving to our face capture data, which is awesome. One thing that we do want to do though, specifically with this character, you'll notice that the eyes aren't moving, and that's because the eyes are its own object, and it has its own blend shape data as well. And we essentially, if you want to go ahead and do that, say if your character has multiple objects that have blend shape data, you essentially just want to do the same thing that you did initially. So if we go ahead and click on our pose morph expression tag here, you'll notice there's some blend shape data here. Let's just go and bring this down to frame 0. We're going to click record sliders, and if we go ahead and bring up our timeline again, you'll notice now we can go ahead and minimize this. You'll notice we have a new pose morph down here, and we can go ahead and rename this eyes. And when we expand this, we have all of our blend shape, and we're essentially, let's just go ahead and do the same thing here by dragging in all of or copying over the face capture data. All right, now that we've done this process for the eyes, now if we go ahead and hit play again, and now you'll see that the eyes are moving to our face capture data. So this is essentially how you go ahead and get our face capture data to be applied to your character within Cinema4D. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you next time.